All right, we are live. Welcome everybody to a Sweetcast live stream, especially if you've been missing live streams. It's Monday night. This actually used to totally be my night to stream, and I did it for a very long time, every single Monday night. Um, Believe it or not, though, before it was Monday night, this was way before. This was as soon as YouTube allowed me to start live streaming, and if I remember correctly at the time, not not anybody could just fire up a live stream. You had to be monetized. You had to have like a certain number of subscribers and viewers. I believe that's how it worked. Anyway, when I started live streaming, I actually was going for Saturday mornings, and the reason for that was that everybody was streaming. I didn't want to be competing with everyone and their mother. So yeah, I would do it on Saturday mornings, and that got difficult for a lot of people, me included. And so yeah, I moved it to Monday nights. Turns out people like their Saturdays, but it was good in that no one was streaming then. It only took maybe 3 weeks, and then suddenly it became a coveted time slot as well. There, like everybody was always looking for a space to stream in, and not get stepped on. But at some point I decided, yeah, it doesn't matter. Just make it work for what you're doing. Paul Riley is here. Welcome, Paul Riley. As people are filtering in and joining the stream, what did I name the stream? You've never seen this before. The hard thing is when you're a writer, it's tough to get stuff done when you're streaming. You can't just, turn on a live stream and start writing in front of everybody. It's pretty lame. But something I can do is a little bit of pre-press. And in this case, I don't want to give spoilers away for Downcast 4. So what I'm doing is actually working on some of these custom binds. And I find this interesting, and I'm hoping that you do too. That's the point. So, to recap what this is, essentially, you can take single issues that you have that maybe you're tired of them lying around or taking up so much space. Maybe they're not worth very much and you just want to read them again, but it becomes a pain pulling them out of their individual sleeves and all that stuff. So custom binding is an option for some comic book creators, and I'm finding the older I get, the more I like hardbound comic books. They look nice, they're easy to read, and just being able to store them on a shelf is fantastic. So what I did is I assembled 5 different books, out of a number of books, hundreds of books, individual floppies, and I sent them off to a binder, and now the binder has put those books together. They just need to add the cover. So that's where we're at right now. So now what I do is I'm going to do the pre-press for the cover based on the specs that they gave me, send those back in. Assuming that I didn't make any mistakes, they're going to print those out, do nice laminate covers, and go ahead and put a hard cover on these books that I made, and then ship them back to me. So I'm going to show you the process for doing this. There are a few small differences between this and the pre-press I would do for any book, any cover layout or anything like that from anything that Sweet Comics puts out, but it's basically the same for the most part. All right, Roland is here. Welcome. Says it's the AME reason. It's the any reason companies decide. I'm assuming you're saying any reason. AME reason. Companies decided years ago to have albums released on Tuesdays. They did so because they noticed it was the slowest day in the sales weeks. Oh yeah, that is that for sure. It's almost like you could go when there's the most traffic, hoping that you'll get the most traffic, or you can choose to specifically zig when others are zagging, and there's a benefit in that as well, for sure. Is this a compilation for Downcast or just your own bound collection? That'd be rad to do a Downcast one, but these are just collections of comic books that I have. So let me show you. And I've actually been putting together a video that's going to be like a complete video. I haven't seen anybody really do it in the comic book binding community, for lack of a better word. So I'm doing it, and it's like front to back. It'll tell you exactly everything you need to do. And this is one of those steps in that. So I hope it'll make sense. Jeremy Fire and Ice 33, welcome. Hey, Clint. It was really fun to stream with you, hanging out with the guys and talking about sequels. I really enjoyed that. So thanks for having me on. All right. Let me zoom in here so you can see what's going on. All right. So here's what happened. I sent in the books. I collected. I better zoom in, otherwise you're not gonna be able to see. We'll try that. Make it a little wider too. Basically, I sent in some books, and some I already owned, others I had to collect. Here is where we're at. So I'm going to start at the bottom here of the list. I had the entire run of the Superior Spider-Man. I realize it is not everybody's favorite series. I have some good memories of it because at the time I was just at a different place in my life, and I was having fun collecting comics. I don't know. I have some fond memories of that time period. So I have the entire Superior Spider-Man run. Not my favorite Spider-Man run. Definitely not the worst, though, either. And I wouldn't mind rereading it. Because I have the whole run, I thought this is going to be an easy one. I will put this all together and then get it bound. And that way I can reread it, or I can have my son read it. He's been really getting into comics as well, which I love. So I split this up into 2 volumes. So it's not, you might say, well, why don't you just get the omnibus? One, I don't want to pay for the omnibus. I already have all the single issues. I just want to turn them into 2 volumes. 2 volumes because I'm doing them Smythe sewn, meaning they're literally getting a needle and thread, sewing through the center of each issue, and that's how they're going to bind them. The benefit of that is the book gets to open up nice and wide. And because it's nice and wide, I don't get gutter loss. There should actually be 0 gutter loss in these collections. So that's a big benefit for doing it. I could put them together and do one big giant omnibus, one big thick one. There would definitely be gutter loss because I could not get them Smythe sewn. It's just too many issues to fit into a single volume Smythe sewn. But I could actually get them glued, so they'd cut off the spines and glue them. So you could do it if you just want a fat book, but I don't want the gutter loss. So that's what it comes down to. Let's see. Roland says you're nostalgic for that run because of the psychological imprinting. I guess you could say that. Wait, it was. I mean, some people really, really like it. I was seriously, when it first started, I was a little outraged, and I decided, you know what, I'm just gonna trust the story and go with it, because clearly Peter Parker's gonna come back. It's not just gonna stick that way. Anyway, so 2 volumes of Superior Spider-Man. I have this one run of Black Widow, and this is 20 issues. This is the Nathan Edmondson, Phil Noto run together that they did. And the reason why I'm going for this one, again, it has a special place in my heart. That's part of it. Nathan Edmondson is an interesting person to me. He actually got canceled from comics because they said he was a bigot, which I was like, I want to know more about Nathan Edmondson, but he vanished from, I mean, he was doing comics, he left comics, and he started doing screenwriting, and then he went to Africa. And when I did more research on it, there were people, specifically SJWs, that were saying that the reason he left was because he was going to get in trouble for some shenanigans, some unwarranted or unwanted flirtation at conventions. I don't know how true any of those allegations were, but I did make actually 2 or 3 videos of it a few years ago. Having said that, I actually enjoyed the run, and I know that there will never be an omnibus made for it. It's just 20 issues. It just won't happen. Phil Noto cemented himself as My favorite artist at the time. Right now, he's definitely one of my favorite artists, not the most, not my favorite, but I'm actually looking forward to going through and reading this again and in a hardcover format. So just one volume there, 20 full issues. I think these ones as well, Superior Spider-Man 1 and 2, it equated to about 20 issues each. One might be 19 and one might be 20, something like that. There were a couple issues that were tie-in issues that I included and some I didn't include. I don't think they were important either way, but I had them. So there's that. Next, we have The Amazing Spider-Man. This is the DeFalco run. Is this interesting to any of you? I'm going to get into like the graphic design part, but I don't know. I was just curious. I find it interesting. Anyway, these ones I did not have. This is also, Roland, you're right, a nostalgia play for me, but in a completely different way from a completely different time. Roland says, sounds similar to Warren Ellis and his story, totally legal and consensual flings. 100%. I don't even think, from what I saw, nothing Nathan Edmondson did even rose to the level of a fling. It was like, you know, just awkward experiences in a hallway or something. It was so unspecific that I don't even think SJWs themselves can bring themselves to cancel him, because some of it was, oh, he was a jerk. Like those were some of the things I'm reading, that he was a jerk and a bigot. But I'm like, that being a jerk and a bigot that's something completely different than sexual assault or anything like that. So anyway, I would be interested to know. Last I know, he went to Africa. Definitely not different, not too different from Warren Ellis, though. It is interesting. Thanks, Paul Riley. Appreciate it. Okay, so last but not least, Amazing Spider-Man. This is the DeFalco run with Spider-Man in the black suit. These were actually some of the very first comics that I read as an adult. I read a total of 2 issues, and they were amazing. I loved them so much that I attribute those, and then I can't remember the order, but it was 2 random issues, 2 consecutive issues of that run, and then I went back and read Amazing Fantasy 15 and Amazing Spider-Man 1. And between all that, I was hooked. So I've never read the whole run, and I want to read the whole run, but not in single issue format. So I actually went out of my way and collected these issues recently. This was December, probably November and December of this, just this winter. I collected all the issues pretty aggressively. Part of my goal was not to get the best copies, knowing that I was going to bind them. Most of these issues weren't very expensive. The very first one from the run, where Spider-Man's revealed to have the black suit, I bought actually a remade, what do they call it, facsimile edition of that, because I didn't want to pay the price. I think it's like a $200 book. So besides that, they're all the original copies. They're all really not worth that much money, especially in the grades that I bought them. I did rebuy one because it had some strange gravy stain on it, and I didn't want to deal with that. All right, so those are the books I'm binding. In total, 5 volumes. They're all going to roughly be the same size, and so this is an opportunity to make it look good. And I'm going to show you how I'm going to do that by some instructions they sent over and some pictures I did, and maybe you can help me too and give me some of your input. Before I get into that, let me just show you. This is Downcast Volume 4 Hunting Ground. It launched just late last week, Thursday. I'm going to post this in the chat real quick. And this is the continuation of a series. It's been just such a pleasure to write Downcast. I'm really looking forward to this one coming out. If you haven't backed it yet, I definitely could use your help. Become a backer and help Downcast continue with this volume 4. I'm very, very proud of it, and I think you're really gonna like it. So, all right. So I got the specs here, the spine width and all that. I'll show you what that means. Here's the next thing. I'm using Haoshin Bindery, by the way, if you were wondering. Haoshin Bindery. Roland says, I've learned to relax when collecting back issues that I actually intend to regularly read. Yeah, as far as quality goes, because you start reading them a lot. Honestly, the danger is just taking them in and out of plastic with tape. The worst thing is getting that tape stuck right to the cover. I just blow a gasket when that happens. AL, great to see you. Just saying hi and dropping a like. Good night. Thank you, AL. Appreciate it. I'll be backing next week. Looking forward to catching up on the series. Thank you, Jeremy. I do appreciate that. Yeah, good night, AL. All right, so they sent this over. I'm gonna make this full screen so you can see it. What this is just a cover layout. Maybe they use this somewhere on a book, but it's a great example because on the front side, most of the time people are picking artwork from one of the covers. So they're going to use some cover art here. You have the spine to work with. You have the hinge, which is something you don't worry about. So you can see right here's the spine. It actually ends there, sort of at the edge of this galaxy stuff, if you can see that very well. And then the hinge goes out beyond that. And that's just sort of the hinge. I mean, it's on either side of the spine because it's a hardcover. It sort of dips in. There's a bit of a gutter there. And you don't want anything important to be there. So that's what it's telling me. The bleed is actually a 0.75 inch bleed, which is massive. Usually you go with 1/8 of an inch for a bleed. This is a 3/4 of an inch bleed, which is massive. But I get it because it's a hardcover. They're actually wrapping the artwork around the cardboard itself, and it'll get glued on, wrapped around, and on the other side, it's going to be covered with probably black or white sheets of paper. They'll be glued over the top of the edges of that, so that way it has a really nice, clean look. But that means I need a ton of bleed space, so I'm actually going to lose a lot of stuff. They have said, let's see, black line at the edge of the cover. So I can, let's say that the cover art itself does not get all the way to the edge here. I'm just going to want to add a little line of black or maybe all black in order for them to see exactly where the edge is. And that's where they will trim it and fold it over. So you may see some white around here if you do choose to go that direction. I don't know yet. We're going to get into it and see what looks good. So these are the instructions, right? This is generic sizing. This is a massive spine right here. But I need to make my Photoshop document match this and match it according to the specs that they gave me here. So I just started out, and most of the work here is actually math, which is not my thing. I'm a writer. I'm not a math guy, but I've got a calculator, so we'll work with that. I recommend checking some of the graphic designs for the various Marvel versus Capcom compilations for reference. That's a fantastic idea. We should actually pull up some references because I've seen some really cool custom bound books they look fantastic. And they're really creative. The temptation here, I'll pull some up while we're talking, but the temptation is to say, well, I want it to look like all my other, these are 5 Marvel books. Yeah, they're from different time periods, but I want them all to match all of my Marvel omnibuses that I have on my bookshelf with a black spine. Let me see. Marvel omnibus spine. All right, here we go. So we'll pull this over. Marvel omnibuses. By the way, I looked it up. It's not omnibi, it's omnibuses. It depends on the origin of the thing, but anyway, that's neither here nor there. Multiple omnibus. There we go. Anyway, so you got the black, and these are actually super boring. They look clean. They're very readable from a far distance, and they match. So that's what you could do. But these custom binds, remember, are from regular comic books, so they're not going to be the same size. They're actually going to be shorter than these, the omnibuses. So having 5 that match in height is great. but they're not going to match these. So could I go all the way and make it different? I think that might be the route I go. We will see. What'd you say? Marvel versus Capcom compilation. I'm going to look that up. I can't type and talk at the same time. That's my problem. All right, so let's look at images. Very cool. So here they have, there's a few different things going on here. If it's something like this, they've got all the art together. I don't see the spine here, but that's a cool cover. The back is like this. The back is very much, we can do whatever we want with it, right? This is cool. If this is a wraparound cover and it looks like, yeah, like a fighting game almost. You can see their life bars and everything. That's pretty cool. Oh, the arcade one up design. Okay, let me look that up. Let's see what they got. Maybe this one. That's cool. So they Marvel on one side. Oh, I have seen this before. Black and white Capcom. You flip it on the other side, it's black and white Marvel with the regular Capcom. That's pretty cool. Let's see like a better. It's another one. Another version. These are cool. Yeah, so part of it would be I'm also definitely not commissioning new art. I'm using existing art. And so that's definitely something we want to consider. That's cool. Any other suggestions, let me know for what else it could be looking at for inspiration. You mean one of those good old it depends nonsense for appropriate etymology. Yeah, you know that works. Hello, Aldous. Great to see you. Good evening. Good stuff. All right. So that's one. There's others I've seen. Let me do one more search here. This is going to be, I want to see what other guys with doing custom designs are doing. Custom. Because I've actually seen people do slip cases too, and I think you can actually get those done at Hauschen Bindery, which is kind of amazing because they can make it match your size. We'll scroll down here. I have seen some that had, oh look, the custom box right here. So here's something, because the top of these look, I don't know how well you can see that. This is worth zooming in on if I can. The top of these books, please get big. No, I want this to be bigger. Let's see. Open image in a new tab. We'll do it that way. There we go. And even bigger. Okay, so too big. So at the top here, they got a slipcase. I'm not doing a slipcase. Maybe someday. I'm right now not doing a slipcase. But they have, the top looks the same. It says custom omnibus in a similar enough font that it looks like it's not a custom omnibus. But here it is. And then from here, they have the titles. It looks like it could fit, but they have this image that, what do you call this when it transfers over to all four spines? That's pretty cool. The problem is I could do this, but the most I have of any run is 2 volumes. So I could only have a picture that spills over both. There's one more option, and I'm just going to see if I'm going to scroll down here and just see if I can find it. But I have seen or heard of people using corner box art. This might be similar. So these ones, I don't know if are these real or are these custom, but they have these characters down at the bottom, which is cool. But I've seen people do the corner box. So from especially those old Spider-Man books with the black suit, I could put the corner box here at the bottom, and that would be right on the back. So it kind of have that old comics vibe. Now I'd have to do something new or make my own corner box for anything that's newer, like the Black Widow or Superior Spider-Man. But I thought that was kind of a good idea. It could be cool. Here's a really awesome one. There you go. Same thing. The tops look the same, Marvel Omnibus, but a large picture. If we had 4 volumes, this could be a cool way to go. This it like the sky is the limit. We can do this however we want. I don't really want to go really crazy, knowing that if anything goes wrong, it's on me. I'm going to be stuck with books like that unless I want to get them rebound. But look at this, that omnibus collection. That's so cool. There's got to be others. Here's some Daredevil. There you go. Just characters at the bottom. We kind of talked about that. Like it's not okay. It's actually okay. Short for all correct. I gotcha. I gotcha. They always do art on the spines like that on manga. The original Dragon Ball is a famous example of them connecting from start to end. Ooh, yeah, I like that. And again, I'm only doing these short little runs together, bound. So I don't know. It would almost be deciding what's the common thread between them. If I wanted to make something that connects them all, chances are I might add books in the future that would go in between, since they're not all part of the same run. So I don't know. I'm kind of leaning toward doing a corner box design or perhaps something like this. So you just see some characters at the bottom. That's cool. Um, but I also don't want it to look like a mess either. I want it to look nice, like it was designed to look nice. So anyway, those are some ideas. Here's another thing I did. Um, I actually took some pictures of my favorite covers from those runs. The thought was I could use one on the front and one on the back. Not necessarily, but I think that that might be a good way to go. So um, I'll show you what I scanned in. How many issues can they fit in a single binding? Um, I think that they can actually fit up to something like 35 comic books. I'd have to go to their website again. It's probably worth going to their website since I just brought that up. But they can do quite a bit, but it depends on how they bind them. So there's 3 different binding processes. One is Smythe Zone. You can only do single issues with for Smythe Zone because they're connected, so they can physically, thread a needle and thread through the spine. Um, there's PUR, which I think is it's just a glue. Oh yeah, it's glue, and that's like a traditional glue binding that you'd have in any trade paperback or many. I've seen many omnibus that is actually just a glued binding, and so those exist. They're not sewn; they're just glued. You get gutter loss on those, but you can do a lot more pages, and you can actually get your own trade paperbacks, take off the cover, and just send them loose pages, and they can use that PUR binding. The third one is oversewn binding, and that's just a stack of pages together, and they'll sew through the sides of those. It's an extremely sturdy way to go, but you get the most amount of gutter loss on those. You can imagine, because you're sewing the innermost of the pages together, you're just going to lose, I don't know, maybe half an inch or something like that with gutter loss, depending on how big the book is. Um, so just a thought, if I Haushin Bindery, here's their website, and they do a ton of different kinds of binding, but here are the comic books in particular. They do these cloth bound covers that you'd see at a library. There's a word for this. I don't remember what it is. Buckram. That's a buckram binding. And it's, to me, super boring. It's perfectly fine. It works, but boring is all get out. Graphic novels. This is more what I would want it to look like. They can even do dust jackets, which is really cool. They have their pricing and everything, and there are several companies that do this. But yeah, I mean that's a good place to start. So, all right, let me show you what I have. I'll actually let me catch up on the chat real quick, and I'll show you these covers. All right, maybe use the spines from the Akira hardcovers for reference. I will look that up here shortly. Akira, good idea. It's pretty rare to see an omnibus containing more than 32 to 36 issues. Yeah, and that's it. It just gets cumbersome to try and read anyway. So to me, having 20 issues in a hardcover volume is just comfortable enough that I can hold it. There's sometimes I think DC, like when they'd put out the Batman trades and they'd have 6 issues or maybe 8 issues or something like that. Definitely no more than 8. Though they're fine, but they're so small. The hardcovers are so small. It's just, I don't know if it's ideal. To me, 20 issues, 20 to 25 is probably about the perfect size, in my opinion. Those that do usually need to go with a sewn binding, but as Clint just said, you need to redo your entire pre-press. Yeah, I don't want to. I definitely. It'll be awful to have to redo something. Magnificent One is here. It would be cool to have the same character on the spine going through a series of an action. Oh, I like that idea. If you see in a panel that shows Spider-Man doing acrobatics by showing a snapshot, 1 frame per spine, that would be cool. We would just have to. There'd probably be a couple different ways to do it, but you definitely want to find the art that exists. It'd have to be the correct width that you could make it fit together. Or, I mean, if you're doing a custom bind, these aren't exactly the cheapest thing in the world. They're not crazy expensive, but it adds up the more that you make. But you could, in theory, actually get just commission an artist to do exactly that, and just see what they do. It'd be like it'd almost be just like paying a comic artist to draw 1 page. That could be really cool. Statistical Zero is here. Evening, Clint. Evening, Clint's chat. Welcome. Good to see you. All right, so let's start. I think I started at the bottom, so we'll do that. So I got my scanner here, and so I didn't have to download these from the internet. I scanned them off the pages that I own, and I was zoomed in so far because my scanner it's pretty legit. Like, it's a big flatbed scanner. But I was thinking it looked too grainy and stuff. I was just so zoomed in, but I think these actually turned out really nice, these scans. I think of the Superior Spider-Man Volume 1 run that I have. These were the ones I wanted to include. This because it's the #1 issue. Not that I necessarily love the artwork that much. It's just that it just seemed like it needed to be there because it's the #1. That's the most iconic one. I just like this one. So this could be the back cover, perhaps, or I can make that the front cover. I just wanted to scan 2 from each. So there we go. That's the first one. Superior Spider-Man 2. These were my favorite covers. This one I think is pretty iconic in that it has Goblin Nation Part 4, but it's a cool cover. I like it. This one would make sense. This other one, this is like the Venom the Venom version. I don't know. I just thought it looked cool. It doesn't even really, I don't think it's that much of the story arc. It's been a really long time since I've read this, but it just looked cool. That's all it came down to. So those were the 2 I picked from that one. Let me get over to some of these others that are a little bit more fun. We'll work our way up. Black Widow. I could have done the Black Widow #1 from the run, but that's actually probably my least favorite Phil Noto cover from this run. His covers were just amazing from this run. I love his covers. These were my favorites, and I would probably lean on making this one on the right, the front cover, because it's just awesome. It almost looks like he painted this with on a canvas, and he might have actually, because he's a painter. He does a lot on canvas paintings and sells them at art galleries and things. But that looks awesome. This is a great one. There's just a story on this page. Do they represent the Black Widow story that well? Probably good enough. I don't know. They're cool though. So those are the two I chose to scan from that one. Let me just check on this. I'm going to check on the chat real quick, and I'll show you what I did for the DeFalco run. That's kind of the one where I'm most excited about. But how high can the scanner go? Mine can go up to 1200 DPI. I don't even know. I think I knew at one point. It is a Optic Slim 1180 Plus Tech. This was, I think it was like $250 for a scanner. It's a big flatbed scanner. You can scan 11 by 17s plus. Like you can do bigger than 11 by 17s on this sucker. But I'm not sure. It would just had really good reviews. A lot of people that do comics, when I was searching it, said that they used this one. So that's why I picked it. Noto is a massively underrated artist. Yeah, the problem is when we see some stuff from Phil Noto that's not great, he's drawing boys. Like he excels at drawing women, and that's that. I mean, he can draw men, I think, really well as well. The problem is you had him drawing what, young Cable or something like that. He was drawing some Star Wars stuff. I know he loves Star Wars, but to me, this was about the perfect project for Phil Noto. I think he just has to draw women. That's just how it goes. I love his art though. Given it's a custom cover, might as well go with the best looking covers. That's exactly my thought. It's not for anyone else either. It's for me. Though you can sell these on eBay, and there are some people that do custom binds. They do a great job on the cover art, and then they turn around and sell them on eBay or elsewhere, and they can make some good money on these custom binds. There's a growing audience of people that's the way they enjoy comics, is custom binds. Engineer Wrecker is here. Hello. He says, hey, just got here. What did I miss? Hey, we're talking custom binds, and we're gonna start on some of the pre-press here. We're just gonna lay it out. I think I'll have a hard time doing it live. Okay, so those are the covers. No. DeFalco. I'm sorry. DeFalco run. I gotta explain these real quick. Okay, in these ones, as I was collecting these books, these two were my favorite from what would be the volume one. This one was actually the most difficult to choose. Volume one and volume two. Now I know most people would say, well, you got to have the, what was it, issue 262. I can't remember which issue it is. No, it would have been 252. That might be it. Right here, which is Spider-Man in the black suit, is his first introduction in the black suit. I can't do that. It's not going to work because it's just boring. That's what everyone would choose. I chose this one because my youngest daughter, she's 6, saw this cover and she demanded that I read the issue to her because she liked it so much. She wanted to know what these weird, strange Spider-Men were doing, explaining that they are actually costumes, and it's sort of I don't even know what you call it. This doesn't actually happen in the comic. It's just sort of reflecting on the struggle that Peter's going through. So I had to pick this one, even though this issue is actually not in such good shape. And I think you can tell the coloring is a little off, but my argument is that's part of the charm. Is there a little, no, that's not, it wasn't the worst cover, but yeah, there you go. Look at the barcode. Is that translating? You can see some staining. I could get rid of the barcode on the cover, but I think this art has to remain. This is the other one, just a cool cover. That's it. Spider-Man, cool cover. Next one, last but not least, DeFalco number 2. We will turn this. These were important because, as I explained, this is all about my own personal nostalgia and satisfaction. These were those two random issues that I got, and you can tell that this one has a bit of a rolled spine here, and that showed up in the scan. So you're seeing a little bit of the back cover there, but I can trim it off. Obviously, I have Photoshop. It'll work just fine. But these are those two issues, and so I think I have to use these two just for that reason. I don't even remember what happens in these issues other than what I see on the cover, but I loved the issues. I remember they stood out to me. So yeah, I'm gonna use these ones. All right. So I think what we'll do is sort of a rough layout in Photoshop to sort of get things started. I don't know how dialed in we will get, but yeah, we'll run through it. Let me check in real quick. I do need a drink. I'm like thirsty. Let's see. The last cover is referenced in the Spider-Man cartoon opening. I didn't know that. Very cool. I used to have a 265 good issue. Yeah, they're fun. I have that issue. See, they're not that rare of issues, but when you collect them all, I kept thinking because there were some fill-in issues that Tom DeFalco didn't write, so I had to decide, is this a DeFalco omnibus or mostly DeFalco omnibus? It's DeFalco's first run plus all the issues in between, because if I'm collecting the whole run, I might as well have all of them. So those were fun. It's faithfully recreated as a nightmare sequence in the Spider-Man cartoon. Gotcha. Yeah, it's just cool. To me, it's iconic. It's great. Always fantastic to see nostalgic talk about comics. I love it. Not nearly enough of it. I know there's too much not talking about comics whatsoever. Like we all care more about social media than comics, which is weird. Gotta fly. All right, good. Thanks for stopping by. Alois the viewer, greetings. Great to see you. All right, I'm gonna get a drink real quick. Okay, so I'm gonna pull this aside for a minute. I'm just gonna drop it. So this is what we did. I got my calculator out. I started with Superior Spider-Man #1, and they specifically instructed that in the bottom corner you had to put the number of the order. So I'm gonna have to pull up this again. Back here are the instructions. Right here, work order. So this number right here is supposed to be on Superior Spider-Man Volume 1, so on and so on and so on. It's actually the same order number and then the number that goes along with it. So I have to add those so that they know what the book is. And I'm just gonna pop that in here real quick. Now they know. Check. So I got out my calculator and I measured out the entire dimensions. Unfortunately, like even when you do pre-press, the printer will tell you, if you're using 80-pound paper stock, therefore they have some kind of formula that they can decide how thick your spine needs to be in order for it to cover properly and look good. In this case, it's just like those printers, because they'll tell you how big the bleeds need to be, board height, board width, all this stuff. I don't need to know this. This is for Hauschen bindery to use. Here I've got to look at a 0.75 inch bleed on all four sides. So when I measure across and up and down, I have to do it twice. I've made that mistake before, if not, timesing it by 2. These right here are the height. The height is easy. So basically I'm just taking the height and then I'm adding I'm going to I'm going to do 0.75 times 2. I'll just show you. It'll be easier. So just like this. So for the height, I'm going to go 0.75 times 2 because I have a bleed on top and a bleed on bottom. I'm just doing height. So I got 1.5. And now that 1.5, I need to add to the cover height, which is 10.25. 10.25. Do I need a bleed on that? Or no, because I just added the bleed. So that's it. So the height of the book should be 11.75, and that should be the same on every book because they're all going to sit on the shelf exactly the same height as each other because they all started from a single issue and they're roughly the same size. So that one's easy, 11.75. Now I'm getting nervous, so I got to look back here and make sure Control R is your ruler. That'll make the rulers pop up on the side here. And of course, this is set by pixels instead of inches. I don't know why. There we go. There's inches. So what did I say? 11.75. There's 11. Looks like 11.75. So I should be good to go here. And you can actually pull these blue things down. It'll tell you. I don't know. You can see that's really small. It says 11.750 inches. So that way I can confirm exactly that that's how tall it is. That's just a little trick in case you didn't know. So now we're going to do the width. So let's go back. I know. I hope this is interesting. I find it to me, this is the fun part. Okay, so I have 11.75. Now I need to know the width. I've got the spine. The spine, are we adding a bleed? No, there's no bleed to the spine because it's just the spine, but we need the total width. So front/back cover width is 6.6875. So this is where it gets to me confusing. And so we're gonna go through this one step at a time. All right, so we're looking at this last one here. I'm gonna shrink this down. Is that acceptable? All right, there we go. We're gonna put it right beneath it so I don't mess this up. Okay, so first, don't forget the bleed. We're gonna do 0.75 times 2. So these are the side bleeds, 1.5 inches, same thing as last time. Now from there, we're going to add the spine width once. So we're gonna do this plus 1.25, right? Now we got to add the front back cover width, and we have to do this twice. And that's because you have the front and the back cover. It seems really basic, but this is where I've screwed up. So it's just better to just make sure you get it. All right. So this is such a specific number. We're going to have to make sure we get it right. So I'm going to do plus 6.6875 plus, I'm going to do it again, 6.6875 equals 16.125. So I'm going to move that aside, and we're going to make sure, back to our Photoshop document, that it's exactly the same cross. I'm going to click on my ruler. There's 0. I'm going to go over here, and I have 16.127. I don't know how that happened, but mine's 16.125. Oh my goodness. So this document that I just created here is literally 0.002 too wide. Why is that? I don't know why. So I can go back in, I think, and change the artboard. Edit. Oh, I've got to figure this out. File. Help me out if you guys know. I just want to shrink the artboard by a little bit. Edit. Oh, shoot. Image. Canvas size. I've got it. Okay. So I'm just going to change this width to 12.5 inches. Okay. That's it. We should be good. So I'm just going to double check that to confirm. No, it didn't change. 16.127. All right. Well, I've done it twice now, and that's still what it is. So I'm going to go with it. It's close enough. I mean, that's so close. It should just be fine. Okay, let me see. Everybody's more interested in bickering about Cuticure War. Oh, Culture War instead of actual books. Yeah, I think maybe there's a place for that, but the front lines are not in comics right now. Just some pre-press talk. Yes, that's what we're talking about for 45 minutes. Believe it. I'll go back and watch from the beginning. This might be a masterclass. I've been quite distracted, but it's if you're doing custom binding, actually, it's not different too. If you're doing cover pre-press, this is how it is for anything. Roughly the same size, despite publishers not having codified a formal printing standard for books, even within the same series. You're not wrong. That's any given printer. They switch. I'm surprised actually how much big publishers switch printers all the time. In a depth lesson on pre-press, check Richard Meyer. Oh yeah, there's some other stuff there. Just some Udemy instruction on getting print files ready. Never enough into. Yeah, if you're interested in pre-press, I do all my pre-press, and I've done it for years. So one thing I want to get better at is digital files. Okay, so here we are. We have these are the total dimensions. Next step is getting the spine right. This is the most difficult part, but then the good news is we get to move on to the fun part. So what I'd rather do here, I think, is we actually start over here. We want to make sure that our bleed is exactly, our initial bleed is where it needs to be. And you're going to measure over left to right in segments. And everything should line up properly if you do that. So let me get my instruction. Oh, we already know my first one. I'm going to get a new line here. Sorry, let me zoom in. I want to be accurate. Got my new ruler guide. So I'm going to go in 0.75. Is that where we're at right here? 0.746. That's where I had the line. Close enough. Sometimes it's hard to get exactly there, but that's basically where the bleed is going to be. And I'll give it an extra leeway beyond that. So then we're going to measure in yet again from that bleed to the next section. So this is, we get out the calculator again. And I'm just going to clear this whole thing. Let me get to my instructions, which are right here. The sizes. So width is the hard one we're doing here. Okay, so the cover width itself is 6.6875. I will forget it if I don't write it down. 675. All right, so that's the width. So now what we're going to do is go back to Photoshop. This is our cover width, and we're going to add the cover width to one bleed. That's how I would normally do it. So we're going to take this plus 0.75 equals 7.4375. So that is the number I'm going for, and that'll mark one edge of the spine. So same thing here. I'll grab this guy. This little blue ruler. 7.437. That is as close, I think, as you could possibly get. So that'll give me a little bit of extra room, but I'll know that I'm just ever so slightly closer. I think I can be more exact if I zoom in. I think that's how it works. Let's see if we can get exact. So 73475. 74375. 7437. See how close it's just such a little movement. 7.3. That's as close as I can get, I think. 7.4. Oh wait. 7.4.3. No. I gotta zoom in more. I'm sure there's a better way to do this. there's gotta be a better way to do this. 7.438. I feel like I'm literally splitting hairs right now. Okay, there's one edge of the spine. Now, on top of that, we're going to take the spine width and add it to this, and that'll tell us where the other edge goes. So, same maneuver here. We'll pull this up. The spine is 1.25. That makes it easy enough. So this plus 1.25 equals 8.6875. Pull this up. We'll grab a new one. 8.687. That is as close as it'll get. I am sure of it. So, all right, there we go. Now what we have here is a cover, and it has a spine in the middle of it. The front cover we're gonna trust equals it because it works because we've done all the work to do the total measurement. So that should be good. All right. You got to tell me if I'm wrong. Let me just check in here. You should upload the PSD as a free template for others to use. The only thing is, so it'll work for the height for you. I can absolutely do that for sure. But the width, depending on how many issues it have, you'll notice also that the newer issues and the older issues are going to be different in their width. The older issues are thicker. Those newsprint ones is just thicker paper. The newer ones are thinner but more dense. So yeah, you're still going to have to figure out the spine width. But other than that, it should be pretty close. Did I do the math wrong? 86 point, if we pull it up, 86.75. Uh-oh. I hope I didn't screw up. Yell at me if I did. Oh, it's a joke I didn't get. All right. 30 years ago, this type of prepress was done with 3000 CAD equipment and software. I wonder if there would be any interest in setting these things up in Illustrator. There could be. The main thing is I'm just more experienced on Photoshop. That's all it comes down to. That maybe you can make an argument that these are more important to be done in Photoshop because I am actually editing images. Like you could do that in Photoshop first and bump it over, I suppose. So this is Superior Spider-Man 1. What I'm going to do is just pull this over to a new tab. And we're going to chop up what we want and put it on the front. This is one that I thought, why don't we use this cover for the front? I don't care that much. No, I don't care that much about this volume. It was mainly just that I had it and I wanted to practice. So it is what it is. So I'm going to drag this over. This will be the front. The front's always on the right. It's not very encouraging that it's it's not big enough to cover this cover. This is where I could blow it up. I could also put it here and add black around it because technically this is actually the size of the comic book cover. This is a 1-to-1 ratio, and that's why you might add black around it. But if I do it this way, from the front, it does look like a single issue of the book. So I'm going to say I'm leaning toward leaving it right here, just like this. Roland says, now people can do similar prepress with cheaper software, even free. I bet there is. There's got to be some really good free software that does it. I just have Photoshop. I've used it for so long. I'm more comfortable with it. A few things here. I'm going to zooming in the wrong way. Zooming in here. I'm going to take this number, this guy right here, and it actually has to be, the instructions said, it has to be small here and in the corner. And I'm not going to make it black because I might actually make the paper black here, so I don't want it to be black. So we'll put it about there. That'll work. That way they know what the guts are that go with this. Front cover, back cover for this case of simplicity. Let's just do this. We'll just make this the back cover. Get it up to the line there. We'll drag it over. I'll put it here. Should line up just the same. Close enough. That's just the same. All right, so there's the back cover. Now you can see the spine area that we have to work with. And you'll also notice that it appears that there's actually more room. Assuming that I have all these bleeds correct. I know up to this point it's correct. This technically was just a hair longer, but should that make a difference? No. What I'm actually going to do is pull it over to the spine. The reason being is that the spine is not going to be trimmed. So this is how, even just pre-press on all my own books, I try to stay as loyal as I can to the spine because there's no trimming there. That's what's going to be folded and be showing. I want the spine to look good. It's just so important. The bleed, you can always add extra stuff there if you need. I always have artists that do a great job on adding extra art that's going to just get chopped off, but it's important anyway to have there. So yeah, I'm going to say about right there looks correct. Maybe just a smidge over. There we go. Pretty close. So they're hugging this spine. I could give it a little room. I've changed my mind on the fly here. I'm going to give it a little room either way because I'd rather have more space there. So, all right. So here's the covers here. I'm going to add another layer and I'm going to test a few things out. So if we go, let's get the paint tool. I'm just going to pour black there for right now. So this is if we were going for the sort of standard Marvel look, and I'm going to start there and adjust from there. So I would have probably that much, and you can see just the dimensions here. It doesn't exactly work for an omnibus. This is definitely a smaller volume, but this part would be red, and it would probably be about this red. That's sort of the, I'd rather have it match anyway, frankly. So that's that would be something like that. And then I could go snag a Marvel logo and stick it there at the top. I also, yeah, I mean, how close do I want to get to getting their font the same? This is where it gets a little messy. I could probably find that information online because custom binding is getting so popular. No, it needs to be all caps. It's always hyphenated with Spider-Man too. So we'll take that. And sometimes people get confused about which way the type goes. And the best way to think about it, it's going to start from the top and go down. But you think about a pile of books, like a stack of books sitting on the floor, you're still going to be able to read it left from right. So that's why you're going to put it this way. So you know which is the front cover. So I'd move that in the middle. This is just the font I happen to have open. I don't even know what this is. What's this font? Gill Sans MT Extended Condensed. Something like that. That's a very specific font. I know I downloaded that at some point. I don't know what for, but that doesn't look bad. Superior Spider-Man. I'm also going to include Volume 1. I'm going to turn this on its side. I'm just trying this out. We'll see. Volume 1. And I'm going to take that, make it smaller. So this is why, to me, this is the fun part. We got the math out of the way, and now we're doing the art part of it, which is just trying to make it look good. How big do we want the volume 1? Let's just say if we made it 30. A little smaller. This is taking up all the room. I definitely could make this, I don't know. I could see an argument for whatever. This would be very readable from the shelf, so I'd know exactly what it is. It would look good. I could add something down here in the corner and then add a Marvel logo here at the top. But it's my book. I'm making it. You know, all of these issues are mine. I don't have to give Marvel any credit whatsoever. I can do whatever I want. But what I would like is for it to be an attractive volume that down the road, I could sell it online if I wanted to and somebody else would want it. They'd know what it is. So let's see. With my background using art software, I've learned to do color separation with bright, garish colors that won't get confused with the primary palette. Man, I do a lot of graphic design at work, and I've been getting better at it, but it's every time I change colors, I do better if I have a branding style guide, so I don't have to even wonder about colors. They're already picked for me and I have to stick to it. I've always loved Spidey's knuckles in that cover. Oh yeah, they're just so bug-like. They're cool. I mean, it's not a bad cover at all. It's a good cover. I picked it obviously. Um, there were a lot of fun covers in that run, but I loved that cover from this one. Are the instruction numbers in the corner for the printer? If so, if they get much smaller, it might. I might choose a more legible font. 100%, you are absolutely right. I should change that font right now because again, I just typed it in with whatever I have. It is for the printer, and in fact, I don't want to see those anywhere. If I'm going with black, let's just make this white right now to solve our problem, so it's very clear. And let's choose. I mean, that is a clear font. And I'm going to make it significantly smaller. Let's go with like 18. That looks so much better. You might not be able to see it that well from where you're sitting. There you go. But that's a lot better. Yeah, I think you could see that. That looks good. Good point. Thank you. Where's the new trade dress, or is it just the original covers? These are definitely just the original covers. They've changed trade dress a lot. I don't know. Go to comicbookfonts.com. You'll likely find similar font, if not the same, since Marvel only uses stock fonts now. I did not know that. I'm sure it's like readily available. Yeah, so I could definitely change fonts for sure. For now, I'm gonna say it's a layout. So what I'm gonna do now is find a Marvel logo. Can I find a high res one? I'm just gonna search the internet. Marvel Comics logo. High resolution. Sometimes you put that right in. See, this opens up some fun stuff too. I'm gonna pull this out. Because if I wanted to, I could even select the kind of logo that they used at the time. Clint's driving me crazy that the red banner behind Spider-Man title is not lining up with the Marvel red square on the spine. I know, and I just totally did however their logo goes, but I think you're right though too, that it looks bad. I could even add a little space at the top so the black would line up here too. Then I'm gonna have to do that with the other ones, right? Though, so they look good on the shelf. Okay, so Marvel Comics, is this their? I think this is their current logo. How big is it? That's a pretty big logo. Oh, it's even a SVG. If you search high resolution, that stuff it's out there clearly. So I'm actually just gonna save it. We're gonna go to my custom binds folder. My Marvel logo is gonna go right in there, and we're gonna take that here. I like to just have it in its own folder so it opens full size. There you go. That's massive. Far bigger than we need it. So here are a few questions too, because I can go this direction like that. I can turn it sideways. I'm serious. I'm literally just working this out. So let me know what you think. But okay, so let's just say first, I'm gonna drag this out. This is just for you, Thomas. Let me get that lined up. It's trying to line up with the text down here. Move the text. No, come on. Move the text down. There we go. Just for a minute. All right, we'll get this lined right up. Like there. How does that look? It's pretty good. There's a ruler. That is pretty darn good. Okay. I'm okay with that. I should probably make the red wider though, right? So it wraps around. So if it, we'll say it wraps around right into the cover, and then does it stay up though? I don't know. We'll look at it. Okay, so we could do that. Now the top's bothering me. I think I have to move it down, otherwise it'll bother me. And then will this make the other covers look bad? I don't know. Let's just satisfy this need first. All right. It's not quite there. It's close. All right, so something in that vein. Let's see. I tend to agree with Thomas DeVries. Yeah. Yeah. The Yandex browser image search is great for finding high resolution images. The reverse image search too. I've used the reverse image search, but not Yandex. I've never heard of that. Have the red banner curve so it can connect to both titles. Oh, you're saying this back one here too. So like maybe it comes out. There's not red here for sure. I can even do red on the bottom so the bottoms match up, but those are less important. This is like the new corner box. It's this bottom stuff. Okay. Well, so let me go back to the image search because I'm going to find something for the corners here, and maybe it's not high resolution, but surely there's got to be something. So I might want to see Superior Spider-Man suit. I don't know. I'm just searching here. Ooh, I did have this cover in that lot. That might not have been a bad one at all. Though I almost think these guys coming out of his back is a good move. That's actually a really large image. Let's just save that image too. I always hate that. Why does it? Does anybody know why it does that? Where it's not a JPEG, it's just this whatever file, WebP file. I don't even know if you can open that. I guess we'll find out. Let's see if that opens in Photoshop. It just perplexes me that sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. I'm just gonna pull this right in. It works. Okay. All right. Perhaps you could have the old Marvel Spidey box on the top, and then you can match the red banner at the bottom, since it's on all of them. Yeah, except for it won't be on the old. I don't know if you're here, Thomas, but there are. I'm actually doing some older books from the DeFalco run from the 80s, and those look different, so we won't have the red on bottom. That's the problem, because I want them all to look okay on the shelf together. Try thinking of the banner as a 3D space on a 2D image, like textures. Cool. The banner. Okay. Yeah, I'd have to play with that a little bit. So it's like it kind of comes out wider because it's 3D almost. I'll have to play with that. Okay, so this one too, should actually be open in its own window, I think. But what I would probably do is cut out this entire background, which could take a minute. But I would probably cut that out, just keep this Spider-Man, and it's as though he's hanging on the side of the spine here, popping out. That could be cool, right? I don't know. I'm going to have to play with this. I like that idea. We'll leave it big. I'll think about that. That could be a cool one. Or I can do a corner box, and if I look at the old corner boxes look like. Marvel corner box So here are some Marvel corner boxes. Oh, what a great, look at that one. The Hulk changing. That's a great one. There's no Hulk in here, but that would be too perfect to have that on each volume of a Hulk run. So cool. Um, these are clearly not original Marvel corner boxes. They've been designed. We could do that. These look more real, are they? I'm questioning everything. These are probably real, or probably like matching the real ones. Yeah, Spider-Man standing up. So I could I could do a corner box like this for Spider-Man and just take Spider-Man out, do the orange slight gradient behind him, maybe even make it not orange, and then add Superior Spider-Man there instead. So maybe it's red or something like that, and then there's Superior Spider-Man. That could work. Okay. Um. All right. I'm not gonna lie. This is gonna be hard for me to do on stream because I'm gonna be doing so much just little tweaking and stuff. I just can't talk while I'm doing it. So I'm gonna play with it and see what I can come up with. In the meantime, that's how it works. There's a few things that we have to do because I might want to add something else here on the black. Maybe I don't want it to be black off the edge. I kind of like that actually. It looks pretty clean. So I might stick with it. For now, this does not look bad at all. But I don't know. Maybe I want to change it up. In essence, I don't think this is bad. There are a few things we're missing though, because I could on the back put the table of contents so you know which issues are included in here, and that would be on any omnibus. And in that case, maybe I should take that off and add some kind of table of contents. My thought is I'm actually kind of leaning toward having the cover only because it's cool to look at. I'd rather see a cover than a table of contents. And if as long as I have volume 1 and volume 2, you're just going to follow along with the series, right? So it shouldn't really matter. Shouldn't really matter, I would think. But again, I guess if I'm selling it and somebody wants to know, the other option could be doing it multiple covers on the back, like you see on most, any Marvel omnibus. They're going to have uh some statement at the beginning and then all the front covers of everything included. It's going to be 20 separate ones, and I did not scan every cover. That would have taken forever, so I just didn't do it. So I'm kind of leaning toward doing something like that, and then making the spine sort of my. This is where I get my artistic, creative mind going, is on the spine. So anyway, off to look at it. Um, Perhaps you should import some of the other volume images from the other runs so that you can A/B those layers and make sure that your spine works with all versions of covers. That excellent point, Thomas. You know what you're doing. Yeah, I think that's important. I do have all of those images. It's just a matter of popping them in, um, and making sure that it would work. That's a must. I think you're right, 100%. The corner box was the mark of comic excellence. I like that. The background color of the corner box is varied for every issue due to the different palette of each cover, or sometimes a coloring error. So, knowing that they're on a shelf together, I could have them all match. I could make them change along with the covers, like you're saying, or I could make them just individually different colors. Again, just knowing that you're going to see those spines. They're not actually being seen with the cover so much. It's being seen as a collection of books, covers all in total. I don't know. I'm definitely thinking about this. Goes to back cover and layer the contents over top, or put a dedicated box that gives the range of books in it. Yeah, so that would look like something like, I'm going to do this real quick and dirty, but I could add right here a box right over top. Let's say there, let's say I make it white and then deselect. And then I have the range of covers, Bear with me. I know that looks terrible right now. I'm working on it. So I could do issues dot 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 whatever. It'll say stuff on here. Smaller font too. But then this layer I would probably bump down the opacity. Something like that. Maybe a little stronger. I could do it over the whole cover too. So it's the whole thing sort of, you know, pushed back into the background. Something like that. So you can read which issues it is. I like that idea. I could even take out, I'm going to delete these the words here, but I could cover up this bottom part because I don't think that that's adding much. It's like, what is it doing for us, you know? So if I had this covering the bottom, oh, please. Something like that, and actually have it, you know, not see-through. Something like that, or much less see-through, so I still can see this art in a real big way, but I can have some of the design below. Sorry, I still have the chat up so you can't see what I'm doing. Something like that. That might be the best of both worlds, maybe. Marvel replaced the corner box with the basic 3D graphic when they started coloring in the computers in the 90s. Interesting. Yeah, I'm actually really interested about early computer coloring, graphics and stuff. Those comics didn't look the best. It was definitely a learning curve, you could tell, but it's crazy how much that changed things and still has them changed now. So, okay, cool. I almost hate that at the bottom. You know, it might look better like right there. Rule of thirds, right? Something like that, maybe. And then have maybe just grayed out then some opacity. And then have what issues it is. And these are all straightforward. I didn't like do, hey, a few issues here, a few issues here. It's like straight through runs. So there's no surprise. So I definitely could do that. Yeah, let me think about it. Also, if you know how many volumes you are going to make, you could cut a complete image and space it over the top of all the volumes so it completes on the shelf. Yeah, we looked at some of those examples early on in the stream. They look amazing. With this particular one, I have two. Let me show you what I have, just so we're all on the same page. So I have two. No, I gotta get the instructions page. Well, okay, Superior Spider-Man. I've got the whole run, but it's in 2 volumes. So volume 1 and volume 2. So those two could go together. We could have a picture, one image that completes the picture on those spines. The DeFalco Spider-Man run, I've got 2 volumes of that. Same there. And then I have a random one-off Black Widow run this is going to complete the run. That's it. So I could include them, but I will likely over time add more volumes that might go in between here somewhere. I don't know where exactly, but I could see, I have the Michael Straczynski run in trade paperbacks, and I could stick it right in the middle here. That would probably end up being 3 or 4 volumes. I know there's an omnibus or 2, but I have the trade paperbacks, so I could do it if I wanted to and then put them in here in the middle. So that's kind of where I'm at. Liquid were fantastic with their sleek, shiny, hard edge colors. Calling it a night all. Have fun. Have a fun stream, Clint. Have a good one. Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah, good night. I'm actually probably going to call it a night too because it's 10 o'clock here. But believe it or not, I'm a little surprised. I feel a little bit better about this cover now, like the process. I needed to work on this. It's hard to justify doing a fun project like this where I'm not promoting my campaign during a campaign. I know, sounds insane, but here I am. So I actually do feel better though. Got some work done, and here we are, still promoting it. So if you haven't backed Downcast Volume 4 Hunting Ground, please do check it out on sweetcomicshop.com. The link's in the description here, and I will also post it in the comment section. And yeah, help me continue making indie comics. I really appreciate everyone that has supported this campaign so far. And I'm considering making it available on Indiegogo as well. I think I looked at some, The Saints launched today on Indiegogo. And I was really interested to see. So far, just shy of $1,500 raised on their book. It's so weird because you can't compare different publishers and you can't compare different platforms. But I knew this is a hard time for crowdfunding, but I got the first Saints. It looked really good. I haven't read it yet. I'm fairly interested in reading. Well, I'm interested in reading it for sure, but I should probably read it first, and then if I like it, back this one. But it looks really good. It seems right up my alley. I've just been busy, so I'm curious if I should go ahead and launch on it. Well, I should, but when? That's the question. That's what I'm not sure about. Saints art was great. It's an odd book though. Like the story was an odd book. Whatever you're spotting swag. Love it. Okay. Yeah, so I got to read it for sure. But yeah, I wonder if I launch on Indiegogo when, if, when, um, what would be the right move? I'd have to set the goal really low because I already got, I mean, yeah, I was gonna say I'm a little nervous about my funding numbers, but um, this makes me feel a little bit better. Is that rude? It makes me feel a little bit better about how we're doing. I realize it's just early though; it's their first day, so I definitely wish them well. Indiegogo has also been very spotty with promotions. I don't. That's the thing is I don't trust. I don't trust Indiegogo. The interiors remind me of Downcast. I see that because it kind of has that painterly, very loose vibe, and Nacho does a good job with that kind of the loose look. The color schemes in this are more earth tone. Does that matter? I mean, it's a different book, but yeah, it's interesting. There's definitely a looseness to it. Though at the same time, Nacho has a more cartoonish quality to faces and things too. That cat is fairly cartoon quality, but there's something very accurate. I don't know what it is. I'm trying to get my words correct. The art looks fantastic. That's my point. I really like the art on this. It looks good. I'm gonna read it. Anyway, thanks for watching. Appreciate you guys. I'm gonna do some more, and I will make a video with my progress on this. I'm gonna go over the whole process so you know how to do custom binding. I do appreciate the feedback. Roland and Thomas, very helpful. Thank you very much. And I'm gonna end off the stream. Have a good night, but I'll see you in the next one. Bye.